The silent return, the galaxy was quiet. Stars burned in the distance, and fleets of many alien empires moved in their usual paths. Trade ships carried goods, patrol ships kept watch, and warships stood ready for trouble. It was just another normal day in the endless night. Then a signal appeared. It was faint at first, like a whisper in the dark. One scanner on a small outpost near the rim picked it up. The operator thought it was a mistake. Old signals sometimes echoed across space, broken, useless, meaningless. But this one grew stronger. The signature was clear. It was old. Very old. The operator froze. His skin turned pale. His voice shook when he called his commander. "Sir, I think we have found it." Across the outpost, alarms rang. Messages were sent. And within hours, every empire in the galaxy had heard the same words. The lost human warship has returned. Long ago, humans had built warships unlike any other. They were strong, creative, and fearless. But then one ship vanished. Some said it was destroyed. Others whispered it had gone into another dimension. Centuries passed. No one saw it again. And most races laughed at the idea that it would ever come back. But now the scanner showed its shadow moving across the stars. A massive shape, silent but alive. The ship moved slowly. It did not answer hails. It did not fire weapons. It did not even change course. It just glided forward, black against the light of suns. The empires tried to stay calm, but inside every council chamber there was fear. What if the legends are true? One alien leader whispered. They said this ship carried weapons against the laws of the galaxy. Another answered. No weapon can break the laws. A third said, but his voice was thin and weak. They all remembered the last war with humanity. Humanity was small compared to the great empires, but their ships fought with a kind of fire no one else could match. They bent rules, they invented strange machines. They turned battles upside down, and this ship, the lost one, had been the most feared. On a mining colony near the rim, workers stopped and looked up at the night sky. They saw a star vanish behind a moving shadow. It was not close, not yet, but its size was so great that it covered the light for seconds at a time. Children asked their parents, "What is it?" Parents only said, "Go inside." Do not look, but they looked anyway, and they whispered the word that spread across the galaxy like fire. Humans. On the ship itself, silence reigned. No window showed life. No signal gave a name. It was like a ghost ship, drifting yet carrying power that made even the bravest fleets hesitate. A small patrol from the nearest empire dared to approach. They sent 3 cruisers. They circled the massive shape, shining lights across its hull. The metal was old, scarred, but still strong. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the surface, symbols no alien language could read. One cruiser captain reported, "No movement. No energy spikes. It may be dead." Then their scanners detected something. The ship's core was alive. The energy reading was beyond anything in their records. Not a reactor, not a star drive. Something else. Something forbidden by the laws of galactic science. "Fall back," the admiral ordered quickly. "Do not wake it." But it was already awake. In the following days, fleets gathered from every side. The Union of Stars, the Dominion, the Triumph Collective, even the Silent Guild, all sent warships to watch. They kept their distance, forming a ring of steel and fire around the drifting giant. Every eye in the galaxy turned to the rim. Merchants stopped talking about trade. Soldiers stopped caring about border fights. Scientists opened old files, reading about human inventions that should have been impossible. Politicians argued, screamed, panicked, and through it all, the warship did not speak. The silence was worse than any threat. Because silence could mean many things. Silence could mean peace. Silence could mean patience. But silence could also mean preparation. On the 5th day, a strange event shook the watchers. A burst of light rippled from the ship, like a heartbeat across space. It was not an attack. No one was harmed. But every ship nearby felt its systems flicker. Engines slowed, shields faltered, weapons went offline for a second, and then the light was gone. The message was clear. This ship carried power beyond them. It could touch fleets without firing. It could command technology like a master commands a servant. Whispers grew louder. It breaks the laws. It should not exist. No empire is safe if it moves. Finally, one alien leader asked the question all others feared. If this ship belongs to humans, where are the humans themselves? No one had an answer. But deep inside the warship, in a chamber hidden from all eyes, a voice stirred. For centuries it had waited. For centuries it had listened. And now it prepared to speak again. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the return of the lost human warship was not the end. It was only the beginning. Fear spreads across the stars. The lost warship drifted in silence, but its shadow grew longer every day. Across the galaxy, fear spread like wildfire. No empire could hide from the news. From the richest worlds to the poorest colonies, everyone whispered the same words. The humans are back. In the Council of the Great Powers, alien leaders gathered. It was a massive hall of crystalline light, where normally voices argued about trade, borders, and treaties. But now the chamber was silent. All eyes stared at the floating image of the warship projected above them. One leader, his skin covered in silver scales, finally spoke. This vessel should not exist. It carries energy forbidden by the laws of the galaxy. If it moves against us, none of our fleets will stand. Another, with wings folded behind her back, hissed sharply. Then we must strike first. Destroy it before it awakens fully. Better to risk now than be crushed later. But an older voice, soft yet heavy, answered her. And what if it is not alone? What if other human ships wait in the dark? What if attacking it calls them back? The chamber erupted in shouts. Some demanded war, some demanded peace, and some simply trembled in silence. On faraway colonies, ordinary people were no less afraid. Merchants closed their shops early. Children were kept inside. Priests stood in temples and spoke of old prophecies, warning that the day of humanity's judgment had come. One worker on a mining world said quietly, "We thought they were gone forever. But you cannot erase humans. You can only wait for their return." Fleets gathered in the rim. Hundreds of ships from dozens of empires formed a massive circle around the silent giant. Their weapons were hot, shields raised, fingers ready to fire. Yet not one dared to pull the trigger, because the warship was more than just a ship. It was a symbol. It carried the memory of humanity, the race that had once fought every empire at once and survived. A race that broke rules, made weapons no one else dared to build, and left scars across the stars. If this warship was truly theirs, then humanity was not finished. 3 cruisers of the Triumph Collective grew restless. Their captain was young, proud, and foolish. "It is only one ship," he said, his mandibles clicking with arrogance. "We have a fleet of 50. We will test it." Despite orders from the Council to hold position, the 3 cruisers moved closer. They fired scanning beams, trying to pierce the hull. Their scanners bounced back, scrambled, and useless. Data melted into noise. Then one cruiser dared to fire a small warning shot. A single bolt of energy struck the surface of the warship. Nothing happened. The crew cheered nervously, believing the ship was dead. They fired again. Still nothing. But then the warship's hull glowed faintly. Strange lines lit up like veins of fire. Symbols carved deep into its skin pulsed with power. And in one heartbeat, all 3 cruisers vanished. No explosion, no debris, no screams, just gone. The fleets watching recoiled in terror. Ships moved back, shields flared, alarms blared. The giant warship did not move, did not fire again. It simply returned to silence. But the message was clear. Do not touch. Do not test. Back in the council chamber, panic exploded. It destroyed them without a weapon. They broke the law of reality. "No fleet can fight this." One leader struck the table with a claw. "This is why humans were exiled. This is why their weapons were banned. They never respected the laws of war. They twist the universe itself to win." Another asked the question everyone feared. "If they return with more ships like this, what will become of us?" Meanwhile, whispers spread among the common people. Not everyone was afraid. Some were excited. Some remembered old stories of human courage, of humans who stood against tyrants when no one else dared. On hidden channels, rebels and slaves across the galaxy sent messages of hope. If humans are back, maybe the empires will finally fall. Maybe this warship is not here to kill us. Maybe it is here to free us. Hope and fear mixed together, impossible to separate. For 7 days the warship floated, silent but alive. On the 8th day it spoke. A single message burst across every frequency, translated into every tongue, sent into every system at once. Its voice was calm, human, ancient. "We have returned. We do not seek conquest. We seek judgment. And then the signal ended. No more words came. No explanation, no demand. Just silence again. The galaxy trembled. Armies rushed to prepare. Scientists tried to understand. Spies searched old records for the truth. Leaders gathered their fleets knowing the warship had just declared something more terrifying than battle. It had declared that humanity had come back. Not for war, but for judgment. And judgment was always harder to escape than war. The first message, the galaxy held its breath. For days, the lost human warship had spoken only once. We have returned. We do not seek conquest. We seek judgment. Then it had fallen silent again, drifting like a shadow across the stars. But that one message was enough to split the galaxy in two. Divided councils, in the halls of the Great Council, arguments turned into shouting wars. One leader roared, "Judgment? What right do humans have to judge us? They are extinct, forgotten, erased by time." Another hissed back, "If they are gone, then who controls this ship? Who sent that voice into every world? Someone speaks for them. Someone still lives." The councils could not agree. Half demanded immediate attack. Half demanded retreat, and none had the courage to give the final order. Because deep down they all remembered what humans were. Not the weakest race, not the strongest, but the most dangerous. They remembered the old war, the one where small human fleets had destroyed mighty empires with weapons no one else dared to build. And now their ghost had returned. The watchers around the rim, fleets still circled the silent giant. Commanders barked orders. Soldiers sat at battle stations, hands trembling on triggers. But every night when the warship's hull glowed faintly under starlight, fear filled their hearts. It was not only a ship, it felt alive. Its silence was heavier than any weapon. On one patrol frigate, a young officer whispered to his captain, "Why does it not attack? Why does it not leave?" The captain answered with eyes fixed on the dark shape. "Because it is waiting. And waiting is worse than fighting." The message awakens. On the 10th day, without warning, the warship stirred. Symbols on its hull lit up in red fire. A deep hum echoed across space. Every scanner, every radio, every communicator, and every ship around it froze. Then a voice came again. "To those who hear this, humanity remembers." The words struck like thunder. They spread not just to the fleets, but across every system in the galaxy, as if the warship's voice spoke through space itself. Centuries ago, your empires swore the laws of war. You swore to ban weapons that twist reality, weapons that break the universe itself. But before you made those laws, you forced them upon us. You feared our minds, our creations, our will, and so you erased our colonies. You hunted us. You called us outlaws. The voice was calm. Too calm, but humanity did not die. Humanity waited. Humanity learned. Panic across the stars, the message ignited chaos. On wealthy worlds, citizens rioted, demanding their rulers explain what had been hidden from them. On slave planets, hope spread like wildfire. The name of humanity became a banner of rebellion. Fleets scrambled to reposition. Commanders shouted conflicting orders. Some wanted to fire now, to silence the ship forever. Others warned that even a single shot might trigger a storm none could survive. Everywhere the question spread. If the humans were erased, then who speaks for them now? A test of fear one reckless admiral could not hold his nerve. He ordered a dozen ships forward, their cannons armed, shields blazing. "We will not bow to a ghost," he growled. "We will not bow to humans." The fleet advanced, but before a single shot was fired, the warship reacted. A wave of light pulsed from its core. It was not a weapon in the normal sense. It was like a ripple in reality itself. Every ship that had moved forward froze. Their weapons powered down. Their engines shut off. Lights flickered. Crews screamed as controls refused to respond. Then, in less than a breath, all systems restarted. Perfectly normal, as if nothing had happened. But the ships had been shown something, that they were not in control. The warship could break them without firing a bullet. The judgment declared. The voice spoke again. "We return not for conquest. We return for truth. Your laws are broken. Your empires stand on lies. Humanity remembers who betrayed us. Humanity remembers who fought beside us. And now the galaxy shall be judged." Every word burned into the hearts of those who heard it. It was not just a warning. It was a promise. The warship's lights dimmed. Silence fell once more. But this time the silence was worse than before, because now everyone knew what it meant. Humanity was not asking. Humanity was declaring. The galaxy trembles in back rooms and hidden chambers. Leaders begged their advisors for answers. Could one warship really judge the galaxy? Could it really survive against thousands of fleets? And yet, deep inside, they all knew the truth. If this was only one ship, how many more were waiting? The whisper of rebellion far below the halls of power. Ordinary beings lit fires of their own. On mining colonies, on slave worlds, in the gutters of city planets, whispers grew louder. If the humans have returned, maybe the galaxy will finally change. Maybe this judgment is not our doom. Maybe it is our freedom. For the first time in centuries, the name of humanity was spoken with hope as well as fear. The final omen, and as the galaxy argued, feared and hoped, the warship moved. For the first time in hundreds of years, it changed course. Slowly, silently, it turned its massive hull toward the core worlds, the heart of galactic power. The message had been sent. The judgment had begun, and the galaxy realized with horror, this was not just the return of a ship. This was the return of humanity's will. Weapons beyond imagination. The galaxy had seen many wars. Fleets clashed, planets burned, and billions died. But nothing in history prepared them for what came when the lost human warship finally revealed its true power. The march toward the core. The ship no longer drifted silently. It had chosen a path. Slowly, with unstoppable weight, it turned toward the core worlds, the center of politics, trade, and control. No empire could allow it. If the warship reached the core, their governments would collapse. Fear would spread faster than armies could move. So the empires gathered their might. A coalition of fleets, thousands of ships from dozens of species, formed a wall in space. Their combined firepower could shatter moons. Their numbers stretched across the stars like a second horizon. Admirals broadcast warnings. Human warship, you are forbidden to advance. Stop now or be destroyed. The warship gave no reply. It simply kept moving forward. The first strike. When the warship crossed the invisible line, the fleets opened fire. Tens of thousands of beams, torpedoes, and energy bolts filled space. Light brighter than stars burned across the void. Explosions shook the heavens. No ship could survive such a storm. But when the fire cleared, the warship still moved. Its hull glowed faintly, symbols of light running across its skin. Weapons that should have melted its armor left no mark. Radiation that could have killed whole crews seemed to vanish in the air around it. The alien fleets froze in disbelief. Then the warship struck back. The forbidden cannon from its forward hull. A single cannon emerged. Long and thin, it glowed with shifting light as if reality itself bent around it. One shot fired. Not a beam, not a missile, not a plasma ball, it was something else. The energy rippled forward like a tear in the universe. It touched the enemy's front line of ships, 5 massive battleships, and in one instant they were erased. No wreckage, no flames, just silence as if they had never existed. Panic tore through the fleets. Commanders screamed. Captains ordered retreat. Soldiers prayed. They had seen weapons before, but this was not a weapon. This was erasure. The second wave. The coalition tried again. Smaller ships swarmed, launching missiles, using every trick of war. They thought numbers might overwhelm the monster, but the warship's hull pulsed. Another weapon activated. This time it was not a cannon, it was something stranger. A wave of invisible force spread from the ship like a heartbeat. Every enemy ship caught in the wave stopped moving. Engines froze. Weapons shut down. Shields flickered out. For 3 terrifying minutes, the coalition fleet was nothing but drifting metal. Then the systems came back online. Ships restarted. But the crews were shaking, pale with fear. They now knew. This ship could kill them at any second, and it chose not to. It was not only stronger, it was in control. The galaxy trembles messages spread instantly. Across the stars, leaders saw the battle feeds. They watched as their proud fleets, the greatest force ever assembled, were broken by a single ship. On hidden channels, rebels and slaves cheered. Ordinary citizens whispered in awe. Priests declared it was divine judgment, and rulers trembled in silence, realizing their age of power might be ending. The third weapon, but the warship was not finished. As the coalition regrouped for one last desperate charge, the warship's rear sections opened. Dozens of smaller objects detached and spread into formation. At first they looked like drones. Scouts thought they might be fighters, but when they scanned they gasped in horror. Each one carried the same power core as the warship itself. Each one was a miniature version of the forbidden technology. The drones formed a circle around the giant, pulsing in perfect rhythm, and then together, they unleashed light. It was not light that destroyed, it was light that rewrote. Enemy ships caught in the glow warped and twisted. Metal became dust, engines unraveled into fragments. Beams of science and matter collapsed into nothing. Whole squadrons dissolved before anyone could scream. The message. When the destruction ended, half the coalition fleet was gone. The survivors floated in silence, too broken to continue. And then the warship spoke again. You see now why your laws were made. You see why you feared us. But your fear was never about the weapons. It was about the will of humanity. You could not break it. You still cannot break it. The voice paused, heavy with calm certainty. We will not destroy you all, but we will judge you, and those who ruled with chains and lies will answer for what was done to us. Retreat of the mighty. The coalition broke. Admirals ordered retreat. Thousands of ships turned and fled, abandoning the battlefield to the lone warship. And still it moved forward, silent, patient, unstoppable. The shadow of judgment across the galaxy. One truth spread. No law, no fleet, no empire could stop the weapons of humanity. The galaxy was no longer asking if the humans had returned. The galaxy now asked only one question. Who would be judged first? Humanity's judgment. The warship moved forward, slow but unstoppable. Behind it, the greatest fleet in the galaxy lay broken, scattered like dust across the stars. In front of it, the core worlds trembled. No wall could stop it. No weapon could match it. And now, every empire waited for the next words from the voice of humanity. The silence before the verdict. For 3 days, the warship said nothing. It glided toward the core, surrounded by fear. Fleets shadowed it but dared not attack. Civilizations froze in suspense. On every world, beings turned their eyes to the skies. Some prayed, some cursed, some hoped, and rebels across slave colonies whispered in secret. This is it. Humanity will judge them. Maybe. Humanity will free us. The core confrontation. At last, the warship reached the core. Dozens of empires had gathered their leaders here. In orbit around a great council world, thousands of ships formed a trembling ring. The warship stopped. Its hull glowed with faint symbols like a heart beating in silence. Then the voice returned. Calm, steady, human. We are not here to conquer. We are not here to burn. We are here to judge. The core shook with the sound. The message did not come through radio. It came through every mind. Every being felt it echo inside their chest, the accusation. Centuries ago you feared us. You called our minds dangerous. You called our creations forbidden. You erased our colonies. You hunted us to the edge of extinction. And then you made laws to ban the very weapons you stole from us. You called it peace, but it was not peace. It was control. The voice hardened. Humanity survived, and humanity remembers. Across the galaxy, leaders bowed their heads. They could deny nothing. The judgment begins. The warship released its drones again. They spread like a halo, glowing faintly. But this time they did not fire. Instead, beams of light reached down to the council world. Cities lit up. Governments froze in terror. But the beams did not destroy. They revealed. Secrets long buried were dragged into the open. Holograms filled the skies, showing crimes of the empires, slave markets, hidden wars, colonies burned, promises broken. The galaxy watched its rulers exposed, their lies stripped away by the judgment of humanity. Billions saw the truth, and billions were furious. The verdict, the warship spoke again. We will not destroy all. Destruction is easy, but judgment is harder. Those who built their power on chains will face it. Those who betrayed us will answer. Those who seek freedom will rise. The drones pulsed brighter. Across slave worlds, chains shattered. Lock systems broke. Entire colonies of the oppressed were suddenly freed, as if the warship's will had reached them through the stars. Cries of joy echoed across the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, hope rose like fire. But in the palaces of rulers, there was only terror. They knew humanity had spared them for now. But the weight of judgment was upon them. The warning for the last time, the voice filled the stars. Remember this. Humanity does not seek your empire. Humanity does not seek your throne. Humanity seeks balance. If you build chains again, we will return. If you erase the weak again, we will return. If you think humanity is gone, remember this ship and remember what you saw today. The words fell heavy, like the final strike of a hammer. The departure. The warship turned. Slowly, silently, it left the core. Fleets parted in fear, none daring to follow. It did not stay to rule. It did not stay to conquer. It left behind only freedom for the oppressed and terror for the guilty. And then it vanished once more, fading into the endless dark. The legacy of judgment. For years afterward, the galaxy was never the same. Empires that once ruled with iron hands weakened. Rebellions grew, freed worlds stood tall, and in every shadow whispers continued. The humans are not gone. They are watching. Children grew up hearing stories of the lost warship. Some called it a ghost, some called it a god, but all agreed on one thing. Humanity had returned, and their judgment had changed the stars forever. The galaxy had once erased them, but now, the galaxy would never forget them. Because in the silence of space, every ruler, every soldier, every slave knew the truth. Humanity had judged them, and humanity would return again.